I'm in a graduate program right now for a couple of healing therapy, and it's heavily postmodern. And I went to U of T for my undergrad, and I found maybe the opposite of what you're saying, that it's not the most postmodern, and it's not the most modernist maybe establishment. I got that from it. I felt like I wasn't really trained in postmodernism.
At U of T, in psychology.
In psychology.
Well, psychology has an advantage because it's grounded in science, right? So it's kind of, you can muck about with psychology a fair bit, but it's anchored. Like it tends to be anchored, for example, in neuroscience, and the neuroscientists are really making progress. So
my question for you is, as a training therapist in a postmodern program, how do you think that might affect the process of therapy?
Well, it puts you in there with all sorts of a priori axioms. You know, one of the things, I really like Carl Rogers. And one of the things Rogers does is listen. That's what you do as a therapist. The better you are at listening, the faster your clients will get better. And you have to listen without prejudice. And I mean that in the technical sense. It's like, okay, so I'm listening to you. It's like, I don't know what you're going to say. And I don't know if you're right. And I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't know what you should do. And that's something about being a therapist. It's like, you do not want to tell people what to do because that's their life and you might screw it up. So what you want to do is listen to them very, very carefully and let them unwind their story. And most of it, they'll take care of themselves, you know, because no one's listened to them. And so they don't even know what they think. Their head is full of jumbled mess of thoughts and experiences. It's like a tangling of knots. And maybe the person needs to talk for like 3 years to sort it all out. And what you should do is listen to them from a different culture, whatever. Like there's going to be friction because of that, because you'll come at it, at least to some degree, with different assumptions. But read the damn therapists. Those people were smart, man. They tell you things about... It's like each of them gives you a different toolbox. They're not scientific theories exactly, but as a clinician, you're not a scientist. You're an engineer of the soul. That's a better way of thinking about it, because it's like engineering. It's an applied science. So that makes it not a science exactly. You can use scientific knowledge, but you're still aiming at the good, right? That's what you're doing as a therapist. With the other person, you say, look, you already know that things aren't as good for you as they need to be. We're going to work on that. And you're here to make things better, and I'm here to help you figure out how to make things better. And then I'll listen to you, and we'll move towards some place that's lighter and better. And then you have tools that you can use in that kind of analytic and listening process. And the great psychotherapists, man, those people had their 10,000 hours, you know, and they all come at it from slightly different temperamental perspectives. Like Jung's work is really useful for dealing with people who are high in openness. So his whole philosophy is, you have an open client, Jung works. If you have a conservative client, forget it. It's a whole different thing. So
what I'm hearing from you is that the postmodern stance is helpful for the field of psychotherapy. From what you're saying is to listen, and that you're not giving an absolute truth to these clients.
Yeah, but the problem is that the postmodern thing works out pretty well, but they keep nesting it in Marxism. It's like, oh yeah, but their primary identity is like sex or gender or ethnicity or race. It's like, no, sorry, we're not going there. So. And it's not exactly postmodernism, because the postmodernists are misinformed about the nature of scientific theories, I think. They don't really see them as tools, but I see them as tools. And so you can have a diverse range of tools. And each one doesn't have to claim epistemological or ontological priority, but that means that you have to view those sorts of theories as tools. That makes you a pragmatist, not a postmodernist. So...
All right, and speaking of patients, I've got to go see some in an hour, so a few things I want to wrap up. Now, just to that point, I said this earlier today, and first of all, one of the reasons I really wanted to have Dr. Peterson come, and first of all, Serena, thank you very much for arranging that. She did. She said that months ago she said she'd have you come in. I said, yeah, sure. And she did, so I really appreciate A, Serena, and B, especially Dr. Peterson for spending the time. You know, I would have prefer to have broadcast this widely and then have said, look, you know what? I want all the Peterson haters to come in. I want you to have a chance to be able to actually face-to-face confront what you're afraid of, don't be ignorant. Don't just impose your own beliefs and your biases and everything onto what you're saying, but actually hear it, process it, come to a reality and fact-based conclusion about the things that you're trying to promote. Because in today's society, truly, everything you've been talking about, I don't think this is hyperbole. I think that we are going down a dangerous path. We're seeing the consequences of it. And I mean, all my students know this. I have been promoting this in therapy, in my classes, in my family, this idea that you need to be able to expose yourself to things that make you uncomfortable, that you're not aware of. And that's, again, that's kind of a ground rule of good psychotherapy.
It might be the ground rule of
Right.
psychotherapy.
And
That is speaking honestly.
And being honest, and honest about yourself, honest about your biases, your ignorance, your fears, your flaws. You can't grow without that. So this, to me, was a I guess, manifestation of that desire. I wanted to bring you here, and I really do appreciate you taking the time. I know you've got many speaking engagements. I do appreciate that, and I'm glad that so many people had very poignant questions that you're able to address.
What
So
are you going to do with the video? What's the plan for that?
Being very low in conscientiousness, I hadn't thought that far ahead. Yeah, I'll probably put it in Dropbox. I'll definitely give you the
Well, lots of people will watch it, so
Great.
it doesn't matter. That's the thing that's so cool about YouTube, man. It's
Right.
like you have a stadium. I have a stadium now every time I talk, which is weird, man. It's very weird.
Right. Well, we're definitely going to be uploading it, and
Yeah.
I'll send it to you, and we'll make the arrangements. So,
Okay.
Thank you very much again for coming, and thank you everybody for coming. That was a good question.